In today's Python programming session, we are going to see control flow in Python. For you to understand the statement flow control, we need to rewind your understanding about a program. So in one of the session, I mentioned that what's a program? A program is a set of instructions. The instruction is nothing but some statements. A program may contain one statements or multiple statements. Look at this simple small program. Now you see multiple statements, right? There is statements to receive input from the users. Then we have some variable assignments. Then we are also checking some conditions. Then based on the conditions, we are doing some calculations. Then finally, we are also printing that information to the console. So in that context, let's understand what is a statement flow control. In any program, statements may be executed sequentially, selectively, or iteratively. When you say sequentially, you know the statements will execute one after another. When you say selectively, the statements may be executed based on some conditions. Some statements may be executed, some may not be executed. All depends on some conditions. Then iteratively means set of statements will execute multiple times until some conditions are met. That is running iteratively. So the program provides the enough constructs to support sequence, selection, and iteration. Hope you understand. If not, we will understand it better with examples. So in a program, statements can be of compound statement, symbol statement, empty statement. So what is a compound statement? A compound statement represents a group of statements executed as a unit. A group of statements executed as a unit. That is compound statement. In Python, compound statements follow a pattern. This is a pattern. Compound statement header, then a colon, then identified body containing multiple symbol and or compound statements. It can be a symbol statement or it can be again another compound statement. So just remember the pattern of the compound statements in a Python program. Let me show you an example for the compound statement. Here in this program, we have a compound statement header and we have a body containing multiple symbol or compound statements. Look at this. If num1 less than num2 colon t equal to num2 into num2 t equal to t plus 10. Here we have a compound statement header and we have a identified body. So we can call this statement as a compound statement. Okay, then you will ask, Biju, can you give me two examples of the compound statements? Yes, the conditionals and the loops are compound statements because they contain other statements. So when you're writing compound statements, you need to remember two conditions, two rules. They are the contained statements are not written in the same column as the control statements. Rather, they are intended to the right and together they are called a block. Look at this. We have two contained statements and we have a control statement, and the contained statements are not written in the same column as the control statement if. Then we call this entire block as a compound statement. Hope you now understood. Then second one, the first line of the compound statement contains a colon. The first line of a compound statement contains a colon. Okay, you understood? Okay, let's move on. Okay, now we know what is compound statement. Let's understand what is a simple statement. Compound statements are made of simple statements. Any single executable statement is a simple statement in Python. What is that? Any single executable statement in Python is called a simple statement. Here, num1 equal to int of input enter a number. This is an executable statement and thus it is called a simple statement. Okay, then what is an empty statement? The simplest statement is the empty statement. A statement which does nothing. In Python, an empty statement is the pass statement. You know, it is nothing but a pass statement. PASS. This is the empty statement. It does not do anything. It doesn't do anything. Wherever Python encounters a pass statement, Python does nothing and moves to the next statement in the flow control. Okay, so now we covered what is a compound statement, what is a simple statement, what is an empty statement. The next topic we are going to see is control flow statement. Let us start with if statement. If statement is the most simple decision making statement. Biju, why are you talking about decision making here? Yes, in programming language, sometimes you need to execute some statements, sometimes you need to stop executing some statements. All we do based on some conditions. So the decision making statements in programming language decide the direction of the flow of the program execution. The direction of the flow of the program execution. Here, the programming language provides the construct of if to use to decide whether a certain statement or block of statement should be executed or not. Okay, what is the syntax of that? If condition colon statements to execute if condition is true. Let's see the flow of if condition. Let's look at the flow. We have three statements: if condition, then body statement 1, then statement 2 is outside the block. What do you understand by this? Here, if the condition is true, if block will consider only statement 1 to be inside its block. Okay, if condition is false, statement 1 will not execute. Let's see in the flowchart. See, the expression that is a condition. If the condition is true, then execute the body. Execute the body. If condition is false, then come out, then continue with the rest of the code. So the body of if will execute only when the condition is true. So this is a very simple conditional statement flow. Okay, let's understand with an example. Here I have a variable I assign a value 10 to I, then I check a condition. If I greater than 15, then print 10 is less than 15. 10 is less than 15. Then we have another print statement. I am not in if. I am not in if. So as we already said, there is a command statement. Command statement will have a header statement and it will have a body statement. Body statement can be simple statement or command statement. So let's execute and see what does it do. So the condition I greater than 15 is false and this body statement is not executed. Instead, it executes the print I am not in if. That that is actually in concurrence with the flow. The test expression is false, then it came out and executed the statement outside of the block, that is print I am not in if. Hope you understood. I have another example. In this example, I equal to 10. In the conditional, I am checking if I is less than 15. Then what is the statement? I is less than 15. So let me execute this. Yes, I is less than 15. See, this condition is true. When the condition is true, statement within the block is executed. When the condition is false, statement outside the block is executed. So you can try simple programs with if condition. In the previous statement, we saw if alone. What does that tells you? If a condition is true, it will execute a block of statements, and if the condition is false, it will not do anything. But the real case scenario, we will encounter that if the case is true, we should execute something, and if the case is false, then we should execute another set of statements. For that, we are going to use if else. So the if else is going to support you both case. If the case is true, execute some statement. If the case is false, execute some other statements. Okay, let's see with an example. Yes, I'm back to my Jupyter notebook and we can see if else syntax. If condition colon, if the condition is true, execute this block. If condition is false, execute this block. Let's look into the flowchart of if else statement. We will have a text expression, then it will have true or false conditions. If the text expression is true, then execute body of if. If expression is false, then execute body of else. After executing either of it, then execute the rest of it. Okay, so in simple terms, if condition, execute this block, else condition, execute this block. Let's look into an example. I have a variable with value 20. I am checking if the value variable is less than 15, then execute one block of statement. Else, that means I is greater than 15, then execute the second set of statements from the second block. Then print a common statement. If I less than 15, let me execute and show it. I is greater than 15. That means it has come to the else part and I am in the else block. See, I am in the else block. Then again, the common statement, I am not in if and not in else block. So what happens? This block is not executed. Why? Because the statement was false. Statement was false. Got it? So now we have a concrete example of if else. So if there is a short way of representing the same thing, say I equal to 10, print true if I less than 15, else print false. Okay, so my value is 10, so it is less than 15. So if I make it to 100, let me execute it again. So it's false because I is not less than 15, 100 is not less than 15, so it will always print false. So this is a short form of if else. Hope you understood if else construct too. Let's move on. Our next topic is nested if. What is a nested if? A nested if is an if statement that is the target of another if statement. Let's look into an example. Yes, again I'm back to my Jupyter notebook and I will explain you the syntax and the flowchart. Here in the syntax you are able to see two conditions. Do you think that the condition 2 will encounter if condition 1 is not true? No. In the nested if condition, the second condition will be encountered only when first condition is true. Look at the flowchart. So we have a text expression and we have body for true and we have body for false. And if when text expression is true, again you see another nested text expression and we have a body for true and we have body for false. So remember, this nested text expression will be encountered only when the first text expression is true. If the first text expression is false, it will execute another block of code from the body of false. And after executing any of these three blocks, then it will come out and execute the common block of code. Common block of code. Let's look into an example of the nested if. I have a small program. This program, what I am doing, I have a variable and I assign value 10 and I'm checking whether the value of the variable is 10. Then I'm going to check if the variable is less than 15, I'm going to print 15. Okay, and if that is false, what will happen? Again it is checking if I less than 12, then it is going to tell I is smaller than 12 too. If again that is false, what will happen? Then it will print I is greater than 15. Okay, so let me execute. It is saying I is smaller than 15, I is smaller than 12 too. How the nested if works here? First of all, it is checking whether I is equal to 10. Only then it will come to this portion. Okay. For example, I can change it to 100. Okay. If I is 100, what will happen? It will print nothing because this condition is failed. Okay. If I change back to I equal to 100, again it will count I is greater than 15. Okay, so this is the nested if condition. Okay, hope you understood. Our next topic is if else ladder. Here a user can decide among multiple options. The if statements are executed from the top down. As soon as one of the conditions controlling the if is true, the statement associated with that if is executed and the rest of the ladder is bypassed. Let's try to understand with an example. So I'm back to my Jupyter notebook. Let me explain you the syntax and the flowchart. See, we have this condition, if condition. If the first condition is not true, then I will go for a second condition validation. If second also is not true, then I will go for a third condition. If third also not true, then I can put an else condition. So that's where you're seeing if condition, then statement, if condition, statement, then else condition, statement. So maybe flowchart can make you better understand. So we have three text expressions. First, we will check text expression 1. If that is true, then execute a statement 1. If that is false, then execute again a test expression 2. If test expression 2 is true, then execute statement 2. If text expression 2 is no, then I will again try test expression 3. And if that is true, then I will execute statement 3. If that is false, then I will execute the body of else. Then I will come out of this control statement. I will execute the remaining statements just below if else if. Okay, let's see an example also. So this is a simple example. I have a variable with a value 20 and I'm checking whether my variable is 10, 15, 20. If it is 10, I will print it is 10. If it is 15, I will print 15. If it is 20, I will print 20. If none of them, I will print I is not present. Okay, let me execute this code. Okay, it is saying I is 20. That means this is meeting one of the test condition, that is if I equal to 20. If I change the value to something else, like I give a value 200, what will happen? It is going to execute the else part. I is not present. So when you have a situation, you want to validate whether value is value belongs to any of the condition, then you should use if else. Okay. Before closing, let's write a program that inputs an integer in range 0 to 999 and then print if the integer entered is a 1 or 2 or 3 digit number. Let's use nested if statement. Okay, I have this program. What I'm doing, I am getting the input from a user and I am converting into int. Okay, and I am saving this to a variable called num. If num is less than 0 or num greater than 999, I will say this is an invalid number, is not falling in the range. If that is falling in the range, I will check if the number is less than 10. Then I will say it is a one digit number. If not, then I will check if the number is less than 100. That means it's a two digit number. If that is not true, then I will say it is a three digit number. Okay. I'm using a nested if to identify this scenario. Let me run this example and see the result. I'm going to enter 40, saying the digit entered is two digits. Okay, so it's very simple. So we can use if else if, nested if, else if, else in our programs. Okay. Hope you understood the usage of control statements in today's session. The next important topic that we are going to cover today is looping statements. Python provides two kinds of loops, for loops and while loops, to represent counting loop and conditional loop respectively. That means for loop is a counting loop, while loop is a conditional loop. So let's start with for loop. So there is a general form for loop. It is for variable in sequence, that is a sequence name, then colon, then statements to repeat. Let us see this with an example. I am going to print elements in a list using for loop, and while printing I will increment by 2. Let's execute. I have the result 12, 17, 22 and 27, but in the actual list items are 10, 15, 20, 25. But while displaying we are just incrementing by 2, and the separator is space. Okay, so we have already seen the separator, how to mention the separator in a loop statement. So the above given for loop executes a sequence of statement for each of the elements of given sequence 10, 15, 20, 25. To keep the count, it uses a control variable element. This is the element is a control variable. In that takes a different value on each item. Firstly, the value 10, then the next value of a sequence 15, then 20, and lastly 25. Next, we are going to see the range based loop. For number based list, you can specify range function to represent a list as in this loop. What I am doing here, I am going to print values from 3 to 18. So instead of giving a list of 3 to 18, I can mention the range function. Okay, so let me execute this command and show you. So here you are seeing the numbers from 3 to 17 because it starts from 3 and ends with 17. So altogether it is returning 18 items. A range produces an integer number sequence. There are three ways to define a range. Look at this. So when you make the range function, you can give the stop value, that is the maximum value. Then we can also mention the start and stop. Okay, where to start and where to stop. Then we can also mention start, stop, and step value. Okay, I will execute and show you the examples. Okay, here I am printing range 7, that is means the maximum value is 7. Okay, so it will start from 0 to 6. So the total count of the number returned is 7, but it starts from 0. When I say the start and stop, okay, what will happen? It will start from 5 and it will end maximum minus 1. 5, then maximum 12 minus 1 is 11. Okay, but what will be the count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then we have a step number. Step number is the increment. Okay, so let me execute this one. So it is saying it starts from 5, then increment 2, then return 7, then next 7 increment 2 prints 9, then 9 increment 2 prints 11. We need to give start, stop,
and step. When you say start, then end we are giving a smaller value, then it will not print anything. When you say the range start 10, then end 4, then -1, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Let us do a practical. Let's write a program to print cubes of numbers in the range 15 to 20. Okay, how will you convert that into a program? We can implement this with a for loop. In the for loop, for I in range 15 to 20. So it will return numbers from 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, then we have the formula to calculate the cube. Okay, then what we are doing, we are printing cube of number I is the value of cube. Let me execute this and show you. So I get cube of number 15 is 3375, cube of number 16 is 4096, cube of number 17 is 4913, and cube of 19 is 6859. So when you want to return integer sequence, you can use range, and range you can have three ways to define a range: range stop, range start stop, range start stop step. Okay, next is while loop. A while loop is a conditional loop that will repeat the instructions within itself as long as a conditional remains true, that is boolean true or truth value true. The general form of Python while loop is while logical expression colon loop body, where the loop body may contain a single statement or multiple statements or an empty statement. So what is an empty statement in Python? Empty statement is Python is pass statement. The loop iterates where the logical expression evaluates to true. When the expression becomes false, the program control passes to the line after the loop body. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, I want to print the value of a variable. Okay, until the condition evaluates to 0. Okay, let me execute this while loop and show you the result. Okay, so it is printing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why? Here I have a variable, I have given the initial value as 10, then I have a while loop, and I am saying that when the value of the count greater than 0, execute until when the value of count greater than 0. Then I am just decreasing the value of count by 1. Okay, so that is why you see that the value of count is printed from 10 to 1. Okay, if I can change the condition to greater than 5, what will happen? It is just printing 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 only just 5 times, because this logical expression evaluates to false when the value of count becomes less than 5. Okay, that's the reason. So hope you understood how the while loop works. Okay, let me also explain you with a small program. Let's write a program that multiplies two integer numbers without using the multiply operator, just using repeated addition. So what I am doing here, I am getting two numbers, first number, second number, n1, n2. Then I am just initiating the variable product 0. Then I am just setting the count as the number 1, first number. Okay, then I will print, I will do the repeated addition until count is greater than 0. Okay, let me execute this small program and show you the output. Let us enter the first number. Okay, I will give 10. I can give 5. So what the product of 10 and 5 is 50. It's just equal to 10 into 5, 50. So we have achieved using repeated addition using while loop. Okay, so this is a simple example for showing the implementation of while loop. In general, a while loop is used when it is not possible to know in advance how many times the loop will be executed, but the termination condition is known. The while loop is an entry controlled loop as it has a control over entry in the loop in the form of text condition. Okay. Now let's understand the jump statements. Python offers two jump statements, break and continue. You may ask for what? You know, to be used within loops to jump out of loop iterations. So when we start a loop, we have to come out, right? Normally it will end when the condition evaluates to false. But if you want to stop in the middle, okay, that is where the jump statements are important. So we have two jump statements. One is a break, one is continue. So as the made means break, it will come out of the loop and then it will start executing the next statement after the block. Okay, here I am going to explain you this simple program. See, I have three variables a, b, c. I initialize with value 0. I have one of the session I have told how to initialize the variable. Okay, you can have multiple variables assigned in a single statement. So all a, b, c will have value 0 in the beginning. Then we have a range, a for loop. The range will execute 11 times because the start is 1 and stop is 11. Then we are going to get the user inputs for variable a and b. But when the value of b is 0, no, the division is will end up in error. So we are going to show division by 0 error, and we need to abort the program. For that we are using break. The break will come out of the loop. If you use break statement, the program will come out of the loop. So we are setting a condition whether the value of b is 0, then the loop is broken and then we will execute the print statement program over. Okay, let me run this loop and show you. Okay, the first number I am going to give is 10. Second number I am going to give is 5. The question is 2. I am asked to give another input that I am going to give 20. Then I am going to give b as 0. Okay, what will happen? 20 by 0. Okay, it will result in error. So we need to abort the program. So as per our logic, when b is 0, it will print division by 0 error and aborting. Then it will not come to else part. Instead, it will print program is over. Okay, let's see that. See, division by 0 error, aborting, program over. So please understand, break statement is used to come out of the loop when a specific condition is met. Hope you understood. Okay, next is the continue statement. Unlike break statement, the continue statement forces the next iteration of the loop to take place, skipping any code in the between. Okay, I have a continue statement here. So what is going to happen here?
See, when the user enters value 10 to variable b, then I should not execute the else portion. Instead, again it should continue the loop. Okay, so let me run this program and show you. Okay, I can give value 100, then I can say value 5. So quotient is 20. Okay, then now I will give the value for number 2 is 10. Okay, let me give 50, then I give 10. Okay, you have entered 10, continuing the loop. Okay, so what happened? We are not coming out of the loop, instead it is continuing the loop without running the rest of the code after the continue statement. So finally we have a nested loops. What is a nested loop? A loop may contain another loop in its body. This form of a loop is called nested loop. So there is a condition. In a nested loop, the inner loop must terminate before the outer loop. That's the only condition. Inner loop should terminate before the outer loop. Let me show you with an example. In this node program, I have two for loops. The outer for loop uses a range of values from 1 to 10, and the inner for loop has a range from 1 to I. I is the element from the outer loop. Then I am printing a star. Then once the inner loop is complete, then I will print a new line. Let's see how the output comes. See, it's beautiful. The stars are printed. The first inner loop has one execution and it prints one star, and the last inner loop has 10 executions and it prints that many star. So please use nested loop in similar situations. Thank you for watching today's learning Python programming session. Hope this was really useful. Thank you.